just closed. I turned out the lights. So close your tails and say goodnight. It's time to pay. It's not time to play. I wish you all would just go away. The bar's not open. It's almost sunrise. I wish you'd go away. I won't serve you anything. The bar's not open, and it's no surprise you should leave this place. There's nothing here for you. The bar's not open. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Stapp and Creed doing The Bar's Not Open.
You got to get that up on Poos. You got to.
So I planned it. Well, Scott Stapp and Creed obviously planned it to be a closing down song.
Yeah. That's how I felt about it.
I told him I talked to Scott, and we were going to set it up so it could be a closing song. But other than that, welcome to From Behind the Barcast, the podcast for bartending, service industry, drinking in general, and Creed fanship.
Yeah.
I'm Paxton Eugene .w. We got Sunset Kelly over there on the ones and twos. And I got to tell you, Kelly. I got to tell you.
Okay.
Okay,
tell me.
I got to tell you this.
Okay.
I have a problem with Italian Americans.
Oh, boy. Why?
Not all of them.
Okay.
But some of them.
All right.
You know how I try and thumbs down, like in my algorithms. Mm-hmm. You know, the moment you look at one or two of the same thing too many times,
yes,
it becomes the only thing that's in your algorithm across all platforms.
Yeah.
I'll let a few Italian cooking videos sort of slip by without scrolling past or thumbing them down.
Right.
So there's a guy, a pizza maker, and he's in some name a town, New Jersey.
Okay.
And he speaks with the typical Italian-American accent, Jersey Italian-American accent.
All right.
So it's like, what we're going to do over here, we're going to make a pizza, and right? Uh-huh. That's his accent. Okay. And so he's starting to make a pizza, right? And he goes, so we're going to do a little something special for Lent, and I'm going to roll the dough out right here. And then for Lent, we don't want to, people don't like to eat meat. We got a lot of Catholics around here, So I made up a special a pizza. It's called a calamari marinara. And I was like, dude. Now, let's say that I'm doing a cooking show. I have a southern-ish accent, right? I mean, it's not super pronounced, but
depends on the word.
I can't hear it myself, but I have a southern accent. I know I do. I'm from the fucking South.
Yeah.
So imagine I was doing a cooking show, and I was like, so then the next thing after I fry the chicken, I'm going to go over here and cook up the collard greens, and then maybe next we'll pop in that pan a little cornbread.
Well,
that's the equivalent of an Italian American popping off that.
But I mean,
yeah,
but if he's true blue Italian and all that, it's not like a newscaster who's speaking in that non-regional dialect, but then they speak, something about, they say Fallujah, but, or Netanyahu, and then like they've been speaking the language all their life, and then they go back to their non-regional dialect.
Okay.
Kind of. But I think if you're full-blown Italian and you're doing the da-da-da-da-da-da.
But I think he was born in the U.S.,
Well,
he comes from Italian stock. I come from Danish stock, but I'm not Danish.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I guess you're not going around. What's a Danish?
I don't even know.
What's a Danish?
A blurb it.
That a Viking horde. But you're not like.
I'm not like, are you having one word? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So and like,
but if you spoke like that all the time, like true blue Italian New Yorker, I don't have.
But that's a little different. Now, if I was just talking like this all the time, and then I said cornbread, it wouldn't sound weird. Right. But if I'm just, and I already have a mild Southern accent, but if I were like, and then I'm just going to go over there and cook out collard greens, brother.
I got you.
I hate it, kind of. And the guy, he lives in New Jersey where the sun never shines, figuratively or literally, and he's so tanned. Now, the videos are kind of entertaining.
Yeah.
Because they're called like crispy pizza or something like that. It's like with a K. And they're like, he's like, today we're going to do a little bit of grandma pie, and you can hear the crunch of the dough, So it's, I'll let it pass by or whatever. But when he goes, calamari marinara.
I get where you're coming from. I do. I just think that in this instance, he speaks like that probably all the time, even when he's at home talking amongst his family and friends and all that. So it's not like he's a guy who would never say that word.
But he puts
otherwise.
the stank on for the video or something.
Yeah.
Well, see, you know who could get away with a non-regional dialect, but then really sting hard on the international words? Alex Trebek.
Oh yeah,
you respected when he did it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially when he was correcting the contestant. You know.
He goes, "That's a fleur de sel." Okay.
Yeah, he'll look at the judges and pronunciation, mispronunciation. Oh, it was pronounced whatever.
Yeah, fleur de lait.
Like he's been saying it all his life.
Exactly, French, Iranian, anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Kelly, advertising worked on you, didn't it?
Yeah, this week especially.
Kelly came in. Studio A, still here.
Yes,
we're still here, baby.
Better than ever.
By the grace of human.
Yeah.
And you came in with a 6-pack of these Ultras.
Yes, I did.
And I got to tell you something, Kelly.
Tell me.
I'm not mad about it.
Well, I'm not mad about it either. It's as advertised. It's easy on the palate. You know, it goes down smooth. It's cold.
It's cold.
Yeah.
It's in a bottle.
It's been pushed a lot this week because it's Masters Week. Every, Mick Ultra commercial is basically based around golf right now. We're playing for an Ultra. We're putting for an Ultra, all that sort of thing. So I figured in keeping with the week. Why not?
And it's not even viral marketing necessarily. It's like, it's pure, this is golf week because the Masters is coming.
Yeah.
Ultra just seems like the 19th hole beer.
Dude, I mean, even without the push this week, it really is kind of the beer of golf anymore. I mean, I'm not saying every, group of dudes at a bachelor party has a cooler full of these things, but
you kind of expect it.
If there's five in the bar, 5 beers in the bar, this is always one of them.
100%.
Heineken, maybe the other, and then blah blah blah. Probably Yingling or something like that. Blah.
You remember when Ultra first came out? I think it was because right after Ultra did come out, there was this wave of low-calorie beers that were just trying to push. Like there was like the Miller Genuine 55.
Yeah.
And then literally another company was like, well, we're 54 calories.
Yep.
There was a huge wave of that shit.
Yep.
But I remember Ultra was the first, they broke the door open for the ultra low calorie, low carb beer.
And what's funny now is that this is Michelob. There's no Michelob Light anymore. There's no Michelob anymore. That's been decades on those things.
They went all in on this and it paid off for them.
And, back in those days, that was kind of the highbrow beer. Compared to like Budweiser or Bud Light or.
You think it's because it had foil around the top and the bottle, the shape of the bottle?
Yeah, I mean, it was probably all packaging and
something to separate yourself,
absolutely.
Which I like.
Yeah, it was just a little like, it was like Michelob Light for the winners. That was the tagline back in those days.
Oh, right.
But those are completely gone now, as far as I know.
I don't see them. Yeah. It's like, the only thing is like they can get away with it, but whenever Natty Light tried to church it up and make a stubby bottle, it's like, no, you're not fooling anyone.
Yeah.
No one is.
I wasn't mad at the stubby Natty Light. I drank a lot of Natty Light in my life. I'm not mad about it.
I bet you have.
Yeah.
Well, I remember the first marketing or commercial that I did see for Ultra, and it wasn't golf.
Yeah.
So I'll paint the picture. It's 2 professionals, man and a woman, maybe a couple. I'm not sure, but they work in a high stress office building situation.
Yep.
It's lunchtime, right?
Lunchtime.
It's lunchtime. They go downstairs. You think they're about to go to lunch? No, brother. They're popping on rollerblades and hitting the streets. They're hitting the New York streets on their lunch break because they're busy professionals, but they still want to stay healthy.
Sure.
So what do you think they're having at happy hour when they leave 355 East Park Street?
I don't know, Mick Ultra.
A goddamn motherfucking Mick Ultra, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And then I started noticing we have the Rock and Roll Marathon here in Savannah, which I've played in bands that I've played along the route. So one time we played at the end, wherever in Forsyth Park with like 10,000 people.
No kidding.
We opened for another band. It was the Trainwrecks. It was my second gig with the Trainwrecks.
Wait, was this while they were finishing the race, or was this after the whole thing was over?
The end, all the vendors and the end party is at Forsyth Park.
Right,
There's
so
a bunch of
crossing the finish line, and you guys are playing Trainwrecks music.
No. They had crossed the finish line like 5 minutes before they filtered in.
Okay.
But out there, after a marathon, you would think there'd be Gatorade gels, Cliff Bars, but there were Miller 55s and Ultras out there on tap, ready to go for the runners. Yeah. So it's it's been promoted as like the healthy guy and gal's beer.
Or at the very least, it's trying to take the stigma away of. I'm not saying you probably shouldn't pound some water or some sort of a little protein drink, to replenish your bodily fluids.
Right, but diving right into
But if you're going to dive into a beer right after a marathon, dive into a Mick Ultra.
Oh man, it writes itself. I mean, Look at you.
I made a living. There was a time. I wrote this shit.
Yeah. If you're gonna,
but I think it was a way.
Did you just run 26.2?
We'll
grab this with only 96.8.
Exactly. The whole series of commercials based off that shit. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they might have treaded a little too far into construction man territory. Like. After a hard day of putting a building together.
They tried to act like this would satisfy.
Probably didn't really pay off with those guys. So I think it was catered more to the athlete.
Right, yeah.
Kind of person.
Do you care about your health?
Person on the go, but you can still indulge.
It does take the stigma away if you just finished a Zumba class.
Yeah.
And you're like, what are you grabbing? Terrapin Hopsecutioner. No.
Exactly.
Ultra.
But it was all marketing, man.
How did you feel walking out of the store with those?
Tonight?
Yeah.
Nothing. Held high. I'm not embarrassed.
Held high.
I
wasn't assuming that you would be embarrassed.
Yeah. I mean, I've had them before. It's just like I said, this week being Masters Week, the lead in kind of the real kickoff to the PGA season and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to go Friday.
I'm telling you, I'm not mad at them.
Huh? Yeah,
I'm almost done. It went down really nicely.
It's going to take a lot to get something done, drunk-wise. But
that's not what I'm into tonight.
I don't think 3 or 4. I'm fine.
Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not mad.
And as we discussed, from the previous week, I much prefer them out of a glass bottle instead of that aluminum can.
Yep.
That's just a thing with me.
Well, Kelly, you were my +1 this past Friday. Helped a little bit of roadieing.
A little bit.
But we guilted the rest of the guys in the group to kind of help too. But it was like passive aggressively. I was like, yeah, everyone loves helping the guitar player.
Yeah.
But so we did the Clapton thing last Friday, and
it was incredible.
I got to tell you, I don't normally like anything that I do typically in terms of creatively, I killed it.
Yeah, you're a little modest sometimes.
But I was fearful of the gig only because if you'd have seen some of those rehearsals, it was like, oh boy. Even the day, 2 days before when we had our last rehearsal, I was like, this ain't together yet. Now, I know that all these guys are pros,
Right.
And I know the magic of the threshold of the stage.
Yeah.
You're above yourself when you get onto a stage, especially in front of a lot of people, a sold out audience, as it were.
Yeah.
Where not the adrenaline kicks in, but the muscle memory kicks in, and you just play better.
Yeah.
And you get it together, and you take less chances.
Yeah. I'm not sure how many practices you guys had, because I know there was an acoustic set. The first part of the show was an acoustic set, and then the second part was electric. So obviously y'all were all playing together at the same time. And even Eric wasn't on stage every song.
The only person that was on stage was the hero, Ryan Kelly, the bass player.
Okay,
he was the only bass. He was the only person.
Right. You're right, but even Eric left the stage a few times.
That's what I'm saying. Ryan Kelly got no breaks.
Yeah. So and of course, me going in there, it's your +1. I'm always going to be yay for everybody.
Sure.
But I'll tell you, and I've seen a lot of live music, and I've seen tribute bands and blah 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 and all that. But I'll say and I'll say I don't want to cheapen it by saying a bunch of local guys.
Sure.
But it was really well done. Yeah, I mean, there was some. You could tell you guys knew what you were doing. I mean, really, it was really impressive. So I don't know if you guys practiced overall a dozen times.
Twice.
Okay. But that's usually the
2.5 times.
That tells you the caliber of the guys that are all hard.
I trusted all the guys individually.
Yeah.
It was just when you put 14 guys like that in a room together, hard to get anything done because everyone wants to be the funniest. Everyone wants to have the last opinion.
Right.
And it wasn't even about being negative collaboratively. Everyone was willing to listen to each other's ideas in terms of how the song should go.
Yeah.
Because, they're already songs.
Yeah.
We're not writing them. It was like, hey, how long should we do the solo for? Or
it came off really well. And it told just about everybody I could tell that I could tell on Friday was I'm just lucky to be here because everything's always on fucking Saturday.
Yeah.
I miss all this stuff because of Breezy. I have to leave Georgia usually to have Saturdays off, to go do stuff.
Sure.
So to have it on a Friday, it was great to be there. And, I mean, it just made me just adore you guys even more.
Well, shout out Brad Binion. He did the sound.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded incredible.
I've worked with him since back in the Locos downtown days, Locos Savannah, Broughton Street, in my first band, Mr. Wiley. So I've known him forever. So when I heard he was doing the sound, I was like, great, man. Haven't seen him probably in a couple of years. We're breaking down after the show, and there's music playing. He's already playing the recording of the show. And I wasn't surprised at how good the recording sounded sonically, you know, like you could hear everything. But I was so surprised that we had all played that well.
I wasn't, and I hadn't seen all those guys, but I've seen a few of them. At least half the people that are up there, I'd seen it, either passing at Poos or whatever and all that. But the competency level didn't surprise me at all.
Well, I get excited, and I rush tempos sometimes, or I slow them down too much. So just a little bit I was listening to, I was waiting for me to, and I didn't. I was like, no. I was super proud of everybody and myself. Yeah. And I'm never normally that. But it kicked off really well. Like we had, I don't know if they asked us, but they had what we call the Blue Babies back there, which are White Claw Surges, the high alcohol seltzers. I was like, did they know? So we're sitting there doing sound check, and I wasn't planning on drinking yet. Yeah. But I just popped open the cooler just to see, and there were two of them. There's 8 or whatever. There's a number of them in there.
I drank a couple.
So I grabbed 2 of them, and I took them out to you, and I was like, let's go ahead and...
Yeah, I mean, it was being there at the beginning, and, I've seen endless amounts of shows. Sometimes I've seen the setup period, blah, blah, and all that. But we were literally there for a moment. It was the first chord and amp being set up to the last chord and amp being pulled off the stage, and... it's really impressive. There's obviously an artistry to it, techno know-how. It's almost like a language. What you're asking for, like a certain chord or mic or whatever. There's a lingo. I think I know a little bit about music and all that, but it's a completely different headspace.
It's a whole nother language.
It really is.
Because I remember you sitting there with us, and you were like, "Wow, okay." There's a lot of numbers you guys are tossing.
Outside of carrying your drums in, I literally had nothing to offer. Nothing.
Well, it's like when car people talk about like models of cars or like numbers of overhead camshaft drive valvulation, something like. I have no idea. Right. But I'm sitting there saying like, is that a mini MD 421 on there? And it's like, yeah, man. So they made the mini 421s in last September. Yeah. Anybody else in the world would not give a shit or be like, okay, you just said letters and numbers. Yeah.
But it was just cool to be that close to it. I was flattered to be that close to it, lucky to be that close to it. And I hope they do something in the future like that again, and I hope it's on a Friday. And,
I told them if you want me to be a part of it, it better be on a Friday. Yeah.
Well, if you want mine.
Did you ever practice your signature as a kid? Like one day when I get older, people are going to want my signature.
Mine's changed so much over the years. I've got stuff I did back at SCAD back in the old days that were signed R. Kelly Gallup, and yes, my first initial is R for Raymond. And so,
pulling the curtain back. Let's go.
This is way before he was even a thing or even the creep that he turned out to be. But at one time, it was my full name. Now it's just my initials.
Wait a minute. Raymond Gallup is a bad name?
What do you mean?
You said before.
No. I mean, I've always been Kelly. Oh. But when I signed things, it was Raymond Kelly Gallup.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And then over time, I went to R. Kelly Gallup. And then over time,
R. Kelly. I thought you were saying
over time, I went to just RKG. Okay. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Oh, R. Kelly. I thought you meant Raymond Gallup was some creep somewhere.
No. Okay. He's sitting right here. No, and then the R. Kelly thing, I didn't change that because of that whole thing. Okay. It's just it's just RKG.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Well, so we were auctioning off posters with all the people who participated, signatures on them. Yeah. And mine is a big P for the most part. Squiggle, squiggle, big W. Right. Squiggle, squiggle. But even here, I wrote it perfectly, like I normally do. So I started on the posters, and by the time I got to the last one, I turned into a doctor. I was a medical doctor. Yeah. The P wasn't even there. I was like, whoever gets the last 9 or 10, they're going to be like, yeah. And one person, I'm sure the camera can see this, but this is how they did theirs.
Okay. Sure.
I was like, okay, go. Actually, no, I've got a picture of it on my phone. I'll pop it up there. But yes.
Yeah, dude. I mean, if I was ever famous, if my art ever became something and all that, I mean, there would have to be some sort of provenance about it where, well, when he was at this stage of his career, he signed it with his first name, and then somewhere in the mid-'90s, he dropped the Raymond and started with going R. Kelly Gallup, and then he went through his next period, and then he got rid of the R. Kelly, coincidentally, blah, blah, blah.
Around 2009.
And then his later years, when the dementia was starting to set in, he shortened it to RKG, that kind of shit. So that would be how you'd have to gauge it.
Yeah.
Because there'd be no professional.
Oh, this was his post-peeing period, post-R. Kelly pissing period.
Exactly, yeah. But, I've collected a fair amount of autographs over the years from golfers especially. It was a lot easier back in the day when I was younger because you get to a practice round for very, very easily before Tiger won. And these guys would sign all sorts of stuff. And it's weird because I don't know, maybe because they just signed so many things or whatever it is, but there's hardly any, variation in their signatures.
Right.
And they're very swoopy and cursive-y and like, it's incredible.
Well, I don't sign many things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Outside of like a check.
I should have I got a poster, and I've got a silver Sharpie, and I should have done it, but I didn't. But I got the set list, so I got the poster.
You got a poster, you got a set list.
And the poster's great.
The poster's a good looking poster, glossy finish.
It really is well done.
Good paper stock.
Yeah, I'm a little envious. I don't know who did it, but it was well done.
It's really good, yeah.
It really is.
Well, I'm here talking about paper stock. The most important thing to me is like, will it hold up?
Brother, trust me, there was a time I talked about paper stock, and it was foreign language.
Yeah.
We're talking about 20-pound uncoated here, or 18-pound semi-cloth.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Dude,
see, I get it. Yeah. So that was like a themed event, it was all around Eric Clapton. We had a themed wedding come into Pooh's the other night. Oh. Look at that segue, brother. I didn't even plan that.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, I don't know if I respected this theme wedding or disrespected it. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
So they come in and I'm like, did a LARPing convention just get done? Live action role play.
Okay.
Now they're at the end of the deck. I'm outside. They're at the end of the deck. They're just coming up. And I'm like, okay, there was a Dungeons and Dragons.
Is LARPing traditionally like Renaissance style?
Man, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's not dwell too far into that.
Right. Yeah.
But that was the theme, though. Apparently, this was a medieval type.
No, it looked more like elves.
Okay. Well, all right. Okay.
Maybe like Lord of the Rings, but I'm not super familiar with a lot of like the fantasy IPs.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
So I'm seeing it's fantasy based.
Okay.
Time, medieval period. I don't know, but so they start getting closer, and I start noticing how ultra low effort was put into this thing.
Okay.
Their elf ears were just like throw something on there.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Okay.
The capes or the cloaks or whatever you want to call them, bed sheets, barely. One guy had like he took the felt off of a pool table. It's just green felt.
Right.
The girl, at first I was just like, oh, was this a Dungeons and Dragons convention? But then the girl comes up and she goes, I'm the bride. It was a white T-shirt with Sharpie written on it. So I respect the hell out of it if it was a purposefully low effort thematic wedding. Like we're doing Lord of the Rings, and then you show up. The one guy shows up in like the full badass $2,000 regalia, and the bride bought a T-shirt and a Sharpie.
Right. Well, they probably would be getting married if one of them took it that seriously, the other one didn't.
Well, no, they just invite the one,
Yeah.
And they think it's going to be like this really dazzling event, and they literally just pulled the felt off of a pool table.
Right. Yeah. I get that. Especially if I was a guest and not into that kind of thing, I mean, maybe if I could rent a costume, but as far as like investing a bunch of money, I'd be that guy with the ears from the dollar store, and I mean,
that was everyone though.
Yeah.
So apparently it had to have been planned, like the lowest effort.
I think that's great.
I respect it, but if they wanted to like do a theme thing and then they didn't put any effort in, unironically,
yeah, right,
then I don't respect you anymore.
Yeah,
and I didn't deal with them that much because they only came to the bar for waters.
Yeah,
but they were, and this is still weird that people still do this. I don't know why. Young and old. Hey, can I have a water? I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
It's a man. It goes across all ages and genders. And
yeah, I mean, I've even done it myself. And, we touched on it a little bit last week about drinking, not drinking, and wanting to go out just say, I really don't want to drink tonight, but I don't have ESPN at my house, so I have to go to a bar, And, if I came to Huckapoo's, I don't think I'd get like shit necessarily and all that, but I probably have to tell whoever I was, serving me. Like,
don't automatically give me the high life.
Yeah, I'm just drinking water tonight, and blah, blah, blah. But I've done it enough over the years where I'm not going to waste the seat's time or your time by drinking water. It's not like just I'm drinking water. I'm not going to reciprocate monetarily.
Sure, yeah.
I would almost
You're going to get the same or more.
Yeah, probably even more in a certain sense. It's just
because you have more to give them because you're not spending it on.
Yeah, like this is all you. And just to kind of let that it's like I know this seat's value.
Yeah.
There's some value to somebody sitting here, not just drinking water or whatever, that kind of thing. So, I mean, maybe I'm overthinking it, but that's how I would approach it. But I've been that guy before. Like, sorry, but I'm going to buy a beer. Just don't need one yet.
Yeah, I guess so, because it does seem like the idea would be, hey, you're taking up a seat.
Yeah.
You better buy something of value or something that costs an amount of money, not free.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've never been a bartender, so I don't know how I would approach it, but if somebody sat there for 3 hours, and I'm not saying that, I mean, let's say it's a busy night. Like tonight probably is going to be a busy night because the men's national championship, college national championship is on basketball. I'm not saying every bar is going to be packed, but But some places.
But if you're going out tonight watching the national championship, just drinking water, you'd be like, "Hey guys, don't worry, I'll go ahead and give you 20 right here."
Right? Yeah, just to let you know.
Yeah.
That I'm not going to waste your time. I'm just by taking this seat because, like I said, there is value to that seat.
Yeah.
For somebody sitting there for 3-4 hours watching any sort of thing.
So, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
that's how I feel. I don't know if that's maybe appropriate.
Well, if no one knows you, that's the way you should feel.
Yeah.
But if you know the people.
Yeah.
They know that you're going to compensate them no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, if I went,
and I don't even care if you compensated me.
I mean, I'd have to tell. I mean,
that's because we're buds.
Well, you and I always work on the same night, so usually you and I don't get to drink together necessarily. But if I was there, I would tell you right off the rip, I'm just drinking water tonight, and that would be the last of it. If I was inside, I could tell anybody I'm just drinking water tonight. That'd be the end of it.
Yeah.
Or like if I went to the court or that kind of thing. But I'd want them to know, like, I'm taking a break tonight. I just really want to watch the game. Not like fuck off, leave me alone.
Right, yeah.
But I'm just not. Whatever.
I'm watching the game. Stop offering me shit.
Yeah, I'm taking a break for whatever reason. I'm drinking water, but I promise I'm not gonna. I'll reciprocate.
We'll get back around to it.
Yeah.
There was a water drinker the other night, and I was glad she started because I didn't realize the dynamic right away. But I'd been serving this really tall, fat-ish, look like. The really bright orange or yellow shirts that like you wear if you're like working on the highway or something like that.
Okay, yeah, safety green or safety.
Yeah,
orange,
but not reflective. But it's a t-shirt.
Safety orange. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a t-shirt, but it's not reflective. But it's really brightly colored.
Yeah, it's neon.
So this is a Sunday. So this guy, he's huge, like he's very tall, pretty fat, and he's got the brightest shirt on in the world.
Yeah.
He's getting a Vegas bomb from me about every 20 minutes or something like that.
Okay.
And he's paying with his phone each time, And I'm like, what? I've never seen him before. I've been walking in and out, and I've been seeing this largish woman inside, but very short.
Okay.
Who should have covered up out of her bikini long before she did.
Okay.
Just because of like, I call it BAD, bikinis after dark, let's tighten up here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm walking in and out, and I noticed it because I was like, girl, like no matter what shape you're in, the sun goes down, throw something on.
I feel the same way.
Unless you're at a festival.
I mean, and it's not like I'm overly modest or anything like that, but there's definitely some people I've seen on the island, people that are locals and all that, like, put a shirt on.
Yeah.
And as you said, it's not because you have a bad body necessarily or a good body or, whatever and all that, but it's 11:30.
Yeah. Well, what are we doing?
I mean, I got you've been up and down, on your little bike trike. We've all seen you for hours.
You're talking about a specific person, but also a very general person.
It's like, we get it. Okay. Yeah. But it's 11:30.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Tighten up.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden she comes outside. And, I'm milling around and I overhear, I got a buddy there who's there, and his beard is just a beard.
Okay.
You know?
All right.
He just happens to have one.
Okay.
It's not something he curates or cares about. Right?
Was it wild and woolly or
No.
Is it? It's not coiffed like yours?
No,
right.
nothing.
Okay.
She's like, oh my God, I love your beard so much. I was like, he's my buddy. I looked at him, I was like, he goes, what the fuck? So then I have my hair tied up, and which is just, my hair is trash right now. I need it cut, you know? So I've got it tied up, and then she turns to me and she goes, oh my God, I just love your man bun. I was like, oh my God, I hate this person right now. So then, Barney, the construction worker, walks up behind her. It's his girlfriend, and he's done something to her. Maybe drinking 7 Vegas bombs over the past 2 hours that's pissed her off. So now she's trying to find a way to unnerve him by saying, oh my God, I love your beard, which is not a beard at all, hardly.
Right.
Oh my God, I love your man bun, which looked like trash. Like, I mean, it was just, oh shit. She goes, what's your name? He said his name. She goes, I love that name. And his name, his name, it's not a special name either. I mean, he could have said, my name is Dog Turd. She'd be like, oh my God, Dog Turd. What is that, like French? She's like, I love your name. Yeah. What does it mean? It means anal leakage. Oh my God, I've had that.
It's fascinating.
That's so hot.
Yeah.
So anyways, so he orders her a beer at first, and I bring it to her, and then she's like, honey, I just want some water. I'm so sorry. I was like, don't be sorry. Drink you some water. Yeah. And then dude behind her was like, get her whatever she wants. I was like, I just brought her Yingling that she didn't want.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, literally, he's about every 20 minutes getting a Vegas bomb. Mm-hmm. And for his giant ass, I was like, and he never seemed drunk.
Right.
So I wasn't fearful of him, like, getting too drunk to handle this girlfriend being a little overly flirtatious on purpose, obviously.
Yeah.
And so he stopped paying with his phone, I was like, hey man, what's up? You want me to write you down? He goes, hell, I ain't gonna run off on you. I was like, I don't think you could.
Yeah.
But like, look, man. So he goes, man, you don't trust me? I was like, look, I'll give you one more, but like, I don't know where you're gonna be.
Yeah.
So then he goes, well, you know what, man? I probably should go ahead and close out. So he closed out, but he ended up getting like 3 more after that.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, we could have done that every time.
Yeah.
And since he was paying on his phone, obviously he didn't have a plastic card on him. Right. And like this time of year, I don't care if it butt hurts people that I kind of know, but unless you're an ultra regular, I'm taking a card from you.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to remind myself every time I leave.
Right. Yeah.
Literally, I go to Augusta. Now, I haven't drank in Augusta regularly, in almost 2 decades now. But I go to places that I used to go all the time, and I, order my drink, and I'm just
excuse me, R. Kelly.
Yeah. They're standing, just kind of looking at me too, like, so you're paying cash now, or you want my tab? And then, oh shit,
yeah,
got to give them something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a luxury to be,
well,
recognized on TV.
I shouldn't have done this, but I effed up yesterday. I let this dude, Justin, what he does. This is what he does to me. Justin Faust is his name, everybody.
Oh, shit. All right.
This is what he does to me.
Cross the line.
Every week or so, he'll pay as he goes. So he builds up that equity. And then, like, the subsequent weeks, he'll be like, hey, just write me down in the book. Oh, yeah, he's been paying the past couple weeks, and he got me yesterday.
Is that like considered a running tab?
No, it's just he's just saying.
There are bars that are like that.
Yeah, this is my last time not taking a card from him.
I got you.
Because, like I said, he'll be good for a couple visits in a row, and then I'm like, all right, now you're back in the I can write you down in the book without taking your card situation.
Well, yeah, I mean, kind of along the same lines with Breezy, and we talked about it, about like, I want to know you have money now. Before the ride even begins, even though you were a good boy for 3 weeks or 3 rides,
right,
whatever,
yeah.
But you're starting to slide back into that.
Yeah.
Let me, I'll get you the next time, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a kind of a sliding scale, but I'm not ashamed of it though. It's like, and I let them know, like, you're going back to what we've talked about numerous times.
So, hey man,
you have money now, right?
Yeah,
you don't trust me? It's like, no, I don't.
No, not right now. I don't.
Not right now. No, I don't. Is it just you that I drive?
You don't have, and in the breezy, you don't have the safety of a credit card to sit there to
No.
you have to literally trust that they have cash or
absolutely,
or that you can take them to the ATM for it.
Yeah. But I mean, but there's sometimes that's just not feasible.
Yeah.
It's just, we're out at the end of San Marco. I'm not turning around to go back for $5 or whatever the case may be.
Fudge off.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, it happens probably at least 2 or 3 times a night. I mean, sometimes even more, sometimes less. But it's you just kind of assume that they should know at this point, especially if you use this all the time. And I don't want to beat a dead horse. We've talked about this endlessly. But yeah, I mean, it's like before I move the car, I want to know that we're square. You don't have to get any money right now, but this car's not moving until I know you have money.
I mean, at least flash me some cash.
Yeah.
I'm not putting the car in gear until you get your butt in gear.
Yeah.
With some money.
And we will be stopping by an ATM. I don't want to. I prefer. And that's kind of the thing. It's little moments like that where even stopping by an ATM, it's a necessity. I want to get paid, but it's those little moments that can put a chink in the armor for the next half an hour, and all that. And it's because some dummy
butterfly effect
who should effing know.
Yeah.
To have $5 on you.
The butterfly effect.
So but again. Yeah, it's such frustrating. But like I said, I don't want to beat a dead horse about this kind of thing.
Well, would you consider those people to be?
Oh, shit.
It's
the Karen of the week. It's the Karen of the week.
Oh, shit. This week's Karen of the Week brought to you by our buddy who does our art, David Smiley. Check him out, David Smiley on Instagram. Also, our Karen of the Week brought to you by Raw Ingredients, Tybee Island, Georgia. Go get your ass some sushi. Sushi burrito, sushi bowl, poke-style bowl. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you what, besides the bubble tea, the best condiment they have there. There's 2 good condiments they have there. Yeah. Well, they have many good condiments, but my 2 faves, they have that sticky eel sauce glaze.
Okay.
Woo, and then they have wasabi cream. Oh. So it's not the chalky, or like, the
little green
the typical wasabi, which is fine if it's real.
Yeah.
They have the cream, though. It's almost like not a dressing, but it's perfect to dip your sushi in.
All right.
South Africa is a place with a bunch of whites.
Yeah.
I think South Africa is more white than it is brown and black.
Yep.
Probably.
Apartheid's a thing.
A couple of weird guys are from there, too, with weird little accents.
Yeah.
Well, these women came in, about 6 of them, and I hear accents. I'm trying to figure out what it is, because if you're not paying super attention, it could sound English, it could sound Irish, it could sound
I can see it.
Latin in some sort of way. But the first girl that came up was English because she handed me her ID, and she was from, Liverpool, whatever. So then the subsequent IDs I was getting were all from South Africa. Huh. And they all started tab together, and I was like, hey, they go, no, just leave it all in one, and we'll just take care of it all together at the end. I was like, cool.
I was going to say, sounds like a good start.
Yeah, it sounds like a good start. So they give me a card to use. And we've had a lot of international visitors lately because I've been getting a lot of out of the country cards. And when you put them in, you got to get the people to come back and put their PIN number into my machine, which is totally fine. I don't care as long as I get paid. So they go to cash out. And I go to do that, and I was like, "Hey, do one of you want to walk around and put the PIN number in?" And one of the other South African girls was like, "Oh wait, just give me the card back. We'll pay in cash."
Okay.
$40-something tab, maybe. She gives me $100 bill.
Okay.
She gets her change from me. Immediately puts it away. The girl whose card it was, who was originally going to pay, starts to look at the girl like, hey, aren't you going to tip?
Okay. No, I mean, because culturally, tipping's it's not like the same everywhere in every corner of the earth.
I know that.
Okay.
But you're in the motherfucking United States of goddamn America.
Oh,
no, I'm sorry. Everyone has the internet.
I'm just saying.
You telling me?
No, I'm not playing devil's advocate here. I'm just saying.
I know what you're saying because I know that
car,
too.
I know I'm not getting a tip.
Yeah.
No matter how great a bloke I am or whatever, I'm not getting jack shit.
Well, see, the thing was, if they'd have just acted like foreigners the whole time who were clueless about American culture.
All right, so the one girl eyeballed this.
She eyeballed this.
Caught this. All right.
So then I was like, oh, she's going to be like, hey. No.
Oh.
She decided, since she didn't have to pay for it anymore,
right?
She intended to pay for it, and maybe they were going to compensate her in some sort of way.
Right.
But she was like, out of my hands now. And I wanted to say something.
Is it really?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I wanted to say something. I was like, if I go start explaining the cultural thing about it, which they already know, I know they know. They were 24. They're not stupid.
Okay.
They have the internet. They know.
Okay.
But to see the most of the Karen part of it was seeing the girl notice it. And, if you see something, say something, man. When heroes fail to act, well, there's something there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When heroes fail to act, they act to fail. I don't know.
Yeah, we got a hotline, a tip hotline to call,
Man,
like literally a tip hotline to call and say, "Hey,
dude, I was so pissed because I watched the mental processes go down. She goes, "Oh my God, why didn't she?" And there's cash right there.
Yeah. Driving breezy, and what inevitably can happen over the course of say one night. I'm getting the same 4 people, and I'm getting $20 each ride. And maybe the first ride, they give me 30. Then the second ride, they give me 25, and then by the last ride of the night, they're down to 20, because I made $70, $75 off them at this point, that kind of thing. Yeah. But and sometimes they'll even say, they're not like, we've tipped you enough, assholes. Not that. Yeah. But it's kind of like, we
didn't expect to ride this much.
Exactly. Yeah. And you made, a fair amount of us already. And I'm not mad about that. No. Really, I'm not. But there's other times where there have been a guy or a man or woman who let them just flat out vocally said, we've given these sons of bitches enough money.
Yeah.
And I said, it's like, we don't get into a fight necessarily, but I just kind of go say, hey, look, it's not my fault you don't want to walk from Stingrays, to the Rose. You know, that, even though I've told you, it's just there, You know what
really sucks? And this happened the other day. I'm glad you said that because it kind of kicked the memory in. So this happened. All right. So I've had the same situation that's gone 2 different ways where same guy too. So there's a guy. I love the guy. He'll start buying women drinks. Pretty much anyone. Yeah. So his tab's going up and up and up and up. Get her one. Get her one. If there's any sort of successful interaction with him and one of the ladies, I'm about a 30% guaranteed tip.
Okay.
But the other day, the tab keeps rising and rising, and no fruit falls from the tree into his basket.
Right.
I barely got like 8%. I was like, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
Because there's this weird thing. Like, obviously, you meet someone, you buy them a drink. That's not all in all like an expectation of a return. It's like, hey, you're nice.
Yeah.
It can work.
Sure.
I've had girls buy me drinks and I've slept with them, But, I'm really hard to. I know.
Well, if you're just flashing cash to move the needle and, better your
90% of the time it's not going to work.
Yeah. But it's definitely a move.
It is a move, but you can't just toss it out there willy nilly,
Well,
whatever. But,
and I probably told this a long time ago and all that, but I'll make it quick and all that. But I had a guy in the car one night with some friends, and he's telling me, about, his Tybee and blah, 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 and all this sort of stuff, And I'm dropping off at Pooh's, and I know this guy, but I don't know him. We're not friends. We're not enemies or anything like that. But I don't hang out with him at all. But he, as they're getting out, it was like 5 of them, so it was $25. He hands me a 50. And off he goes. They start going up the stairs, and I can see him looking. And as soon as they get up the stairs over the crest to the horizon of the stairs, he comes back down the stairs as I'm pulling away, and he's knocking on the window, and he's like, "Hey man, can I get that 25 and change?" And I just looked at him, and granted, I still made 25 on the ride. It was solid and all that.
Yeah.
But I was like, you didn't forget that.
You waited till them girls were out of eye shot, so you didn't look cheap as hell.
Yeah.
And I know you got money.
Yeah. Yeah, this wasn't like oh, dude, I made a mistake or anything like that. This was, he watched the
premeditated.
I look, and then came
How
back.
devious.
Yeah. And
what a devious little guy.
Yeah. It's a local.
What a devious little guy.
It's a shit move.
Yeah. That was obviously.
Yeah. But but in that moment, even is it's just nefarious and it just maybe reaffirmed even how I really feel about this guy, no matter what everybody else says. It's one of those things where you kind of go, you know what? I still got 5 people in the car. That's a solid ride, even without a tip.
Yeah, right.
And then just move on. But just that act afterwards, the knowingly trying to throw, I mean, and this is after giving the blow by blow from the south end all the way to Huckapoo's about and all that. And then just this premeditated.
What? Man.
He said generous. No.
I'm devious, but like I can't put that much effort into trying to be clever and that devious.
Yeah. And but devious might not even be the right word.
But it's kind of devious.
Yeah, but I wish there was something.
It's one of the right words for
assholey.
Yeah, it's one of the right words.
But it's the right word.
It's one of the. It's a word among many words that would be appropriate.
I mean, and it's like financially, the dude doesn't need to be a poser at all.
No.
It's not like he has to pretend that he's got money or she's got money, whatever, that kind of thing. But
yeah, that would be a shoot.
It's just that was more the principle of the thing. The moment for me was, and honestly, I knew he had no intention of giving me a $25 tip. I wasn't trying to race out of there like spitting rocks. But he was waiting long enough for them to get out of eye shot. So I figured, all right, maybe he actually is going to tip me this time. And I go to turn and I'd see the knock on the window, and I knew before I even did it, I started making change.
Yeah.
And as they always do, I'll get you later.
That's classic.
I'll get you on the ride back.
I'll get you on the way back. I had some people ask the other night. They saw we were having a lot of fun, and they were bartenders from another state or another city, and they go, so what do I got to do to get application here? Ha ha ha. Yeah. And I was like, all we got to do is if you pass a drug test, you can't work here. Yeah. So no, if you pass, you can't work here.
You're doing business like writing things down. Like no,
as long as you don't pass it. As long as you don't pass it. Yeah. But along those lines, and then there's and we'll get on out of here. But so this time of year we start to try and pick up some young blood, meaning under 21 workhorse people to do. Because our trash and a lot of grunt work needs to start happening. And, man, it's a very young person's game.
Oh, yeah, traditionally it always has been.
You're kind of like an Olympic athlete. If you're over 25, you're kind of over the hill to be a legitimate bar back.
Yeah.
You got 2 good seasons, Yeah. You got to be exceptional.
Yeah.
But once you get to a certain age, you don't want to do that grunt shit anymore.
Right.
So it's a weird little dynamic that you got, or it's a weird little, not weird, but it's a threshold you got to get within. They got to be young enough not to know better, and young enough to be able to handle it. Strong back, strong legs,
and not get caught up in the stuff that happens.
Sure, yeah. So got a buddy there, and he goes, "Man, I got the perfect kid. He's 18, doesn't drink, doesn't do drugs, healthy, athletic." And they go, "Yeah, bring him on." Because the guy who was referring him doesn't drink or anything like that. So it's possible to do. It's possible not to drink and smoke weed and shit when you work there. And so the kid lives with his parents. He's like 17, 18, something like that. And kid goes home and is like, "Hey, I got a job." And they go, "Well, where?" He goes, "Well, at Huckapoo's." And the parents are very like straight.
Are they here on Tybee?
I don't know. I don't know if they're down here or not.
All right.
But very straight, strict, and Christian. They go, "Son, if you take that job, you have to move out of our house."
Really? Like on moral grounds, or because
I think they're very strict Christians, and literally no one actually knows what goes on there.
Den of inequity, and
right? Yeah, like, I don't even know if they were talking about like the staff, which are worse than the customers, honestly. But I was like, damn, what an ultimatum right away. Because I was thinking, I thought it was going to swing more towards like, if you get a job there, You have to take a drug test every week.
Exactly. But based off the reputation of that place.
Yeah.
Yes,
every night you come home, we're frisking you.
Yeah.
We're gonna wipe your arms for bomb materials.
Yeah.
Everything.
Breathalyzer, whatever that kind of thing.
Exactly.
But to pull the whole the moral high ground.
Move out.
You sinner.
In that den of a nigger, just like you said, That's the way she goes, brother. Well, thank you guys for listening this week. Even if you're from South Africa, or Italia, got money. All right, guys, we love you. See ya next week.
Ciao, bella.
Ciao,